Imagine a world where gods walked among men, shaping empires, destinies, and the very fabric of existence. This is the world of Roman mythology, a treasure trove of stories that has left an indelible mark on art, literature, and history. From the marble halls of ancient Rome to the pages of modern novels, the echoes of these myths still resonate today. But what makes Roman mythology so timeless and captivating? Perhaps it's the way these tales blend divine grandeur with human struggles, or how they reflect the core of Roman values: duty, power, and destiny. At its heart, Roman mythology is a rich tapestry woven from ancient Italic traditions, Greek influences, and the unique identity of Rome itself. It's more than just stories of gods and heroes. It's a glimpse into a civilization that sought to understand its place in the cosmos while shaping the world around it. Origins of Roman mythology. Roman mythology begins with one of the most enduring tales of origin, the myth of Romulus and Remus. According to legend, these twin brothers were the sons of the war god Mars and the mortal woman Rhea Silvia. Cast adrift on the river Tiber as infants to escape death, they were miraculously saved by a she-wolf who nurtured and protected them. Raised by a shepherd, the twins grew into strong and fearless leaders. Eventually, their destiny unfolded on the banks of the Tiber, where Romulus, after a bitter feud with his brother, founded the city of Rome in 753 BCE. This myth is more than just a captivating story. It encapsulates the core values of Rome. The image of being raised by a she-wolf symbolizes resilience and primal strength, traits the Romans held dear. Romulus' leadership and the city's divine origins emphasize a sense of destiny and purpose, instilling in the Roman people a belief that their empire was fated for greatness. But Roman mythology didn't arise in isolation. Its early development was deeply influenced by the surrounding Etruscan and Italic cultures. The Etruscans, a powerful civilization that predated Rome, contributed significantly to early Roman religious practices. Gods like Tinia, Uni, and Minerva from the Etruscan Pantheon found their way into Roman belief systems, evolving into Jupiter, Juno, and Minerva, the cornerstone of Roman religion. As Rome expanded and encountered new cultures, its mythology grew more complex. One of the most significant influences was Greek mythology, which Rome didn't merely adopt but adapted to suit its unique identity. Greek gods like Zeus, Hera, and Athena became Jupiter, Juno, and Minerva, maintaining their core attributes while being reshaped to reflect Roman ideals. Greek heroes and myths were woven into Roman traditions, often with subtle changes to emphasize discipline and duty over personal glory. This blending of Italic roots, Etruscan influences, and Greek mythology created a rich, multifaceted mythological tradition that mirrored Rome's cultural and political diversity. The Romans didn't just borrow. They transformed these stories into tools for unifying their expanding empire. Myths were used to connect conquered peoples to Rome's divine destiny, reinforcing the idea that the empire was not just a political entity, but a cosmic force ordained by the gods. The origins of Roman mythology reveal more than just where the stories came from. They offer insight into how Rome viewed itself, from the fierce determination of Romulus to the divine integration of conquered beliefs. These early tales set the foundation for a mythology that would inspire and endure for millennia. It's a testament to Rome's ability to adapt, absorb, and thrive, while staying true to its sense of purpose and destiny. The Roman Pantheon. Roman mythology boasts a pantheon rich with gods and goddesses, each embodying traits and responsibilities that reflect the values and ambitions of the Roman people. These deities weren't mere symbols. They were integral to Rome's identity, representing the divine forces that shaped their world and destiny. Let's delve into the major gods and goddesses of the Roman pantheon and explore their significance. At the pinnacle of the Roman pantheon stands Jupiter, the king of the gods and the embodiment of power, authority, and divine justice. Known as the god of the sky and thunder, Jupiter wielded the thunderbolt as a symbol of his might. He was revered not just as a protector of Rome, but as a guarantor of laws and societal order. Temples dedicated to Jupiter, such as the Temple of Jupiter Optimus Maximus on Capitoline Hill, served as political and religious centers. Jupiter's dominion over the heavens and his role as a divine judge made him a figure of awe and respect, reflecting Rome's belief in the importance of law, order, and discipline. Juno, Jupiter's wife and sister, held a prominent position as the queen of the gods. She was the goddess of marriage, childbirth, and the protector of women. Her influence extended to the Roman state, where she was venerated as Juno Regina, the guardian of the empire. Juno's personality combined strength, dignity, and a fierce sense of protection for her domains, embodying the Roman ideals of loyalty and family. Her festival, Matronalia, celebrated in March, honored married women and their vital role in society, reinforcing the cultural emphasis on familial and societal harmony. Mars, the god of war, was more than just a deity of conflict. He was the symbolic father of the Roman people through his sons, Romulus and Remus. Unlike the Greek Ares, who was often portrayed as impulsive and chaotic, Mars represented strategic warfare, discipline, and courage. His role emphasized Rome's militaristic strength and its ability to conquer and protect. Festivals like Mars's Equirria celebrated military readiness and strength. As the father of Rome, Mars was a national figure, embodying the aggressive but calculated spirit that drove Rome's expansion and dominance. Venus, the goddess of love, beauty, and fertility, held a unique place in Roman mythology. She was considered the mother of Aeneas, the Trojan hero who founded the Roman race, making her the divine ancestor of the Romans. This connection elevated her status beyond personal love to one of political and cultural significance. Venus symbolized prosperity, creativity, and the enduring nature of Rome's lineage. Her influence was celebrated during the Vinalia Rustica and other festivals, which emphasized abundance and fertility, essential themes in Rome's agricultural roots. Minerva, the goddess of wisdom, arts, and strategic warfare, was a cornerstone of Roman culture. Unlike her Greek counterpart, Athena, Minerva was also associated with practical knowledge and skill, embodying the Roman value of utilitas, or usefulness. She was venerated by craftsmen, scholars, and soldiers alike, reflecting her multifaceted nature. The Quinquatria festival celebrated her role as a patroness of learning and strategy, highlighting her importance in both intellectual and martial pursuits. Minerva's presence symbolized the Roman ideal of calculated intellect guiding action, ensuring success in all endeavors. Neptune, the god of the sea, held sway over all things aquatic and was deeply respected by Rome's seafaring communities. Beyond his dominion over the oceans, Neptune was also associated with earthquakes, a reminder of the Earth's uncontrollable forces. His festivals, such as Neptunalia, celebrated water as a life-giving and destructive force, underscoring its dual nature. Neptune's mythology mirrored Rome's relationship with the sea. While it brought trade and conquest, it also posed challenges, emphasizing the necessity of respect and mastery over nature. Pluto, the god of the underworld, represented the inevitable reality of death and the mysteries of the afterlife. Unlike the fearsome image of Hades in Greek mythology, Pluto's Roman interpretation often emphasized the importance of respecting the natural cycle of life and death. He was also associated with wealth, as the underworld was considered the source of precious metals and resources. The Romans honored him in the context of rituals related to death and remembrance, ensuring peace for the departed. Pluto's role reinforced the Roman ideals of accepting fate and the cyclical nature of existence. The Roman Pantheon extended beyond the major gods, each additional deity contributing to the empire's spiritual richness. Mercury, the fleet-footed messenger, symbolized commerce and communication, vital aspects of Rome's thriving economy and governance. Diana, goddess of the hunt and the moon, represented independence and the untamed forces of nature. Her connection to the countryside reflected Rome's deep agricultural roots. Vesta, the goddess of the hearth, was central to Roman family life, with her sacred flame in the Temple of Vesta symbolizing the eternal spirit of Rome. Vulcan, the god of fire and craftsmanship, represented the transformative power of industry, while Ceres, goddess of agriculture, embodied the bounty and sustenance that fed the empire. Together, these deities reinforced the interconnectedness of daily life and divine will. What set Roman mythology apart from others was its emphasis on practical virtues like loyalty, honor, and service to the state. Roman deities were not distant figures. They were protectors of Rome's destiny and enforcers of its values. Gods like Jupiter and Mars were closely tied to the empire's identity, ensuring divine favor in both peace and war. The worship of these gods was deeply tied to the idea that Rome's success was not merely political or military, but divinely ordained. Through this pantheon, Rome created a mythology that was both deeply spiritual and profoundly practical, connecting the heavens and the earth in a harmonious framework that supported its ambitions and unified its people. The gods and goddesses of Roman mythology were more than deities. They were the guardians of Rome's soul and destiny, ensuring its place as a timeless empire. Myths and legends of heroes. Roman mythology is filled with powerful stories of heroes whose journeys not only shaped the fate of Rome, but also revealed the profound connection between divine will and human action. These legends demonstrate the moral and cultural values that would form the foundation of Rome's identity, showcasing the bravery, determination, and resilience that would define the empire. Let's explore some of the most celebrated myths and legendary figures in Roman history. One of the most iconic figures in Roman mythology is Aeneas, the Trojan hero whose journey from the ruins of Troy to the shores of Italy laid the groundwork for the future of Rome. His story, immortalized by the poet Virgil in the epic poem Aeneid, traces Aeneas' fateful mission, guided by the will of the gods, to establish a new homeland. Throughout his journey, Aeneas faces fierce battles, tragic losses, and divine interventions, but his unwavering commitment to his divine destiny never falters. The Aeneid was not merely a tale of adventure, it was a divine prophecy of Rome's greatness, showing how Aeneas' struggle and sacrifice were part of a larger plan ordained by the gods. Jupiter, the king of the gods, reveals to Aeneas that his descendants will found the Roman Empire, linking the hero's journey directly to the divine will and the fulfillment of Rome's destiny. Aeneas' story serves as a reminder of the importance of duty and sacrifice for the greater good, an enduring theme in Roman culture. Through Aeneas, the Romans saw themselves as the chosen people, destined to build an empire that would rule the known world, blessed by the gods and forged through resilience and sacrifice. The legendary foundation of Rome is inseparable from the story of Romulus and Remus, the twin brothers raised by a she-wolf and destined to become the founders of the city. According to myth, Romulus eventually kills Remus in a dispute over the founding of the city, marking the beginning of Rome's journey as a city built on conflict, strength, and leadership. Romulus became Rome's first king, and his reign set the tone for the values that would define the city-state: courage, loyalty, and honor. But Rome's early history is not solely defined by Romulus's actions. Following his rule, several legendary kings shaped the development of the nascent city. Among them was Numa Pompilius, the second king of Rome, renowned for his wisdom and piety. Numa's connection to the gods was particularly strong. It is said that the god Janus and the nymph Egeria directly influenced him, guiding his decisions and ensuring that Rome's laws and religious practices were divinely inspired. Numa's reign brought peace and order to the city, setting the foundation for the moral and spiritual framework that would govern Rome for centuries. His story underscores the Romans' belief in the divine right of kings and the importance of the gods in their daily lives. The legendary tale of Horatius at the Bridge encapsulates the Roman values of courage and sacrifice in the face of overwhelming odds. According to the myth, the early Romans were threatened by an invading army from the neighboring Etruscan city of Clusium. As the enemy advanced toward Rome, they reached the Sublician Bridge, a crucial crossing over the Tiber River that provided access to the city. To protect Rome from invasion, Horatius Cocles, a brave Roman soldier, stood alone at the bridge, fighting off the enemy to give his fellow citizens time to destroy the bridge behind him. Horatius' heroic stand is a symbol of selflessness, duty, and devotion to the Roman state. Although outnumbered and facing certain death, Horatius' courage inspired his fellow Romans, ensuring that the city's survival was preserved through his sacrifice. The story of Horatius at the Bridge became a key example of Roman valor and sacrifice, serving as a model for later generations of Romans who would face their own trials and tribulations. The legend emphasized the importance of defending one's homeland and the eternal bond between the citizen and the state. These myths and legends, with their rich tapestry of divine intervention, human courage, and moral lessons, offer a glimpse into the worldview of the ancient Romans. They reflect the values of strength, leadership, and destiny, highlighting how the gods played an integral role in shaping the fortunes of Rome. Through these stories, the Romans believed they were connected to a grand narrative that stretched beyond their own lives and carried them toward greatness. Key themes and values in Roman mythology. Roman mythology is not just a collection of stories about gods, heroes, and supernatural events. It is a window into the core values that shaped Roman society. These themes reveal the principles that guided daily life and decisions, from duty to the gods to the pursuit of destiny and military conquest. Let's delve deeper into the key themes that stand at the heart of Roman mythology. Pietas, duty, the moral obligation to family, gods, and country. At the center of Roman values is pietas, a concept that encompasses duty, loyalty, and devotion. Pietas was the moral obligation to honor one's family, the gods, and the country. It was the glue that held together Roman society, ensuring that individuals performed their roles with the highest sense of responsibility. In Roman mythology, Aeneas is the epitome of pietas. His journey, as depicted in the Aeneid, is not just a quest for a new homeland. It is a journey driven by his sense of duty to the gods, to his family, and to the future of Rome. Throughout his trials, Aeneas is constantly reminded of his responsibilities and the sacrifices required to fulfill his divine mission. The importance of pietas was not limited to mythological tales. It was a guiding principle in everyday Roman life. Children were expected to honor their parents, citizens were bound to serve the state, and soldiers were ready to lay down their lives for Rome. The gods themselves demanded pietas from humans, requiring acts of worship, sacrifice, and devotion in return for their protection and favor. This deep-rooted sense of duty helped the Romans maintain social order, discipline, and unity, and it was the cornerstone of Roman identity. Destiny and fate. In Roman mythology, fate is not just a distant concept, but a driving force that shapes the lives of gods and mortals alike. The Romans believed that destiny, often represented by the figure of Fortuna, was a powerful and sometimes unpredictable force that governed the universe. Fate played a central role in determining the paths of individuals, from legendary heroes like Aeneas to everyday Romans. It was often seen as something beyond human control, an inevitable course of events that could not be altered, no matter how hard one tried. The idea of fate was especially powerful in the lives of Rome's leaders and warriors. Romulus, for example, was fated to found the city of Rome, while Julius Caesar believed his rise to power was the result of divine will. Similarly, the myth of Cassandra, the Trojan princess cursed by Apollo to utter true prophecies that no one would believe, highlights the inevitability and tragedy of fate. Romans often looked to the gods for signs and omens, believing that the gods would reveal their fate through divine messages, whether in the form of dreams, oracles, or unexpected events. Roman society was deeply influenced by the idea of fate. The belief that one's actions were predestined to some extent allowed individuals to face hardships with stoic acceptance. It fostered a sense of duty to the state and the gods, as the Romans believed their actions were part of a larger divine plan. However, fate was also a source of tension, as individuals sometimes struggled to accept the will of the gods, especially when it conflicted with their desires or ambitions. Roman religion and practices. Religion in ancient Rome was not just a personal belief system, but a comprehensive practice that touched every aspect of daily life. From grand temples and public festivals to the sacred rituals performed within homes, Roman religion was deeply embedded in the culture. The Romans believed that maintaining the favor of the gods through these rituals ensured the prosperity of their city, families, and the empire itself. The heart of Roman religious practice was found in the temples, where the gods were honored with elaborate ceremonies and sacrifices. Temples were not just places of worship, but symbols of the divine presence in the physical world. They were built to honor specific deities and were adorned with statues, altars, and sacred offerings. The largest and most important temples, like the Temple of Jupiter Optimus Maximus on the Capitoline Hill, were dedicated to the chief gods and played central roles in state rituals. Sacrifices were a crucial part of Roman temple worship. The Romans believed that by offering food, animals, and incense to the gods, they could gain divine favor and avert disaster. The sacrificial rituals were carefully prescribed by religious law and performed by priests who chanted prayers, made offerings, and burned incense. Animal sacrifices, often involving bulls, pigs, or sheep, were common, and their blood was considered sacred. The rituals took place at specific times of the year, ensuring that both gods and humans maintained their relationship. Festivals, too, were an essential aspect of Roman religious life. These public celebrations honored various gods, marking important events in the Roman calendar. The Saturnalia, for example, celebrated Saturn, the god of agriculture, and was a time of revelry, feasting, and role reversals. During these festivals, slaves could temporarily experience freedom, and social norms were relaxed. Other significant festivals included the Lupercalia, dedicated to the god of fertility, and the Vinalia, which celebrated wine and the harvest. These festivals provided the Roman people with a sense of unity and connection to the divine, as well as an opportunity for socializing and community bonding. While the grand public temples were a focal point of Roman religious life, many Romans also practiced private worship within their homes. The Lares and Penates were the household gods who watched over the family, home, and possessions. The Lares were often depicted as small, statuette-like figures and were believed to protect the family from harm and misfortune. They were honored in daily rituals, especially during family meals, where offerings of food and drink were made to ensure prosperity and safety. The Penates, on the other hand, were the gods of the pantry, responsible for safeguarding the food supplies of the household. Like the Lares, the Penates were honored in daily rituals, but they were particularly important during times of harvest and feasts. Together, these two sets of household gods represented the balance of domestic life. The Lares provided protection, while the Penates ensured abundance. Romans often kept small shrines or altars in their homes where offerings were made to these gods. And it was common for a household to have its own set of Lares and Penates, which were passed down through generations. The belief in household gods highlights the Romans' deep sense of familial duty and their understanding of the home as a sacred space. The well-being of the family was seen as intimately connected to the favor of the gods, and maintaining a good relationship with these deities was central to the Romans' religious and social values. In addition to the household and temple worship, the Romans had a complex state religion that intertwined with their political structure. The Pontifex Maximus was the chief priest in Roman society, responsible for overseeing all religious affairs, including the maintenance of sacred rites, the calendar of festivals, and the selection of other priests. The position of Pontifex Maximus was so influential that it was sometimes held by the emperor himself, blending religious and political authority into a single powerful figure. This priestly office had control over the religious and moral conduct of the state, ensuring that Rome's religious traditions were upheld. One of the most significant aspects of Roman state religion was the deification of emperors. After their deaths, emperors were often declared divine by the Senate and worshipped as gods, a practice that helped to solidify the ruler's authority and maintain loyalty to the imperial family. This concept of deification was rooted in the belief that the emperor was not just a political leader, but a divine representative on earth. The emperor's divinity became a symbol of Rome's greatness and eternal destiny, and citizens were expected to honor the emperor as a god, strengthening the unity of the empire. This religious practice also served as a means of legitimizing imperial power, as the emperor's divine status was considered a mandate from the gods. Roman religion and practices were central to the identity of the Roman people, guiding not only their personal lives, but also their collective sense of duty and purpose. The grandeur of temple rituals, the quiet devotion of household worship, and the sacred role of the emperor all contributed to a society that viewed religion as inseparable from the fabric of daily life. Through their practices, the Romans ensured that their lives were aligned with divine will, reinforcing the sacred connection between the people, their gods, and their destiny. The evolution of Roman mythology. As the Roman Empire expanded, so too did the influence and evolution of Roman mythology. By the time the empire reached its height, the blend of Greek, Etruscan, and native Italic beliefs had created a vast and complex pantheon of deities and mythological figures. This evolution continued under the empire, particularly as Roman emperors began using mythology to reinforce their authority and legitimacy. With the establishment of the Roman Empire, mythology became intertwined with the imperial cult, an important religious and political institution that sought to elevate the emperor to divine status. Emperors, such as Augustus, sought to associate their reigns with the gods and heroes of myth, thus solidifying their authority and strengthening their rule. This blending of mythology and imperial power can be seen in the way emperors began to be deified, both during and after their reigns. By claiming divine ancestry, emperors like Augustus presented themselves as the fulfillment of a long-standing mythological prophecy, linking the rise of the Roman Empire to the god's will. For example, Augustus' association with the god Apollo was pivotal in establishing his divine right to rule. He portrayed himself as a descendant of Aeneas, the Trojan hero whose journey to Italy was chronicled in the Aeneid. And through this connection, he aligned himself with the legacy of both Aeneas and the gods who had guided Rome's founding. Augustus's divine connections were further reinforced through myths and symbols associated with his reign, such as his adoption of the title Divi Filius, Son of God, which emphasized his link to the divine and cemented his legitimacy. The emperor's deification was also reflected in religious ceremonies and public rituals. Emperors were worshipped as gods by the Roman people, and temples were built in their honor across the empire. This imperial cult not only glorified the ruler, but also unified the vast and diverse empire under a common reverence for the emperor's divine status. Mythological stories, such as those of Hercules or Venus, were reinterpreted to fit the emperor's image, with the emperor seen as the living embodiment of mythological ideals and divine power. As the Roman Empire expanded its borders, it came into contact with a variety of cultures, each with its own set of deities and mythologies. Rather than forcing the subjugated peoples to abandon their own gods, the Romans often adopted and integrated these deities into their own religious practices, a process known as syncretism. This allowed Rome to maintain a sense of unity across its vast empire, while also honoring the diversity of cultures and beliefs within it. Roman gods were often merged with foreign gods, with similarities in attributes or roles, leading to the creation of hybrid deities. For example, the Roman god Mercury, the messenger god, was closely identified with the Greek Hermes, but also came to incorporate elements from Celtic and Egyptian deities. Similarly, the goddess Isis, an Egyptian deity associated with magic, motherhood, and fertility, became widely worshipped in Rome, and her cult grew so powerful that temples dedicated to her could be found throughout the empire. One of the most significant examples of syncretism was the blending of Roman and Persian mythology. The Roman god Sol, the sun god, was closely linked with the Persian god Mithras, leading to the development of the Mithraic cult. This mystery religion gained widespread popularity among Roman soldiers and eventually spread throughout the empire. The syncretism of Roman and Persian religious elements created a rich tapestry of myth and ritual, where local deities were honored alongside traditional Roman gods. Additionally, the conquest of Greece had a profound influence on Roman mythology. The Romans absorbed much of Greek mythology, adopting Greek gods in their stories, but giving them Roman names and sometimes altering their characteristics. The Greek Zeus became the Roman Jupiter, while Hera became Juno, and Ares was transformed into Mars. This integration of Greek mythology helped bridge the gap between the two cultures and allowed for a shared religious language that transcended regional differences. As Roman mythology evolved under the empire, it became a dynamic, ever-expanding system of beliefs that reflected both the diversity and unity of the Roman world. The blending of myths and the incorporation of local deities from conquered lands allowed Roman religion to remain relevant and adaptable, ensuring its lasting influence for centuries to come. In this way, Roman mythology not only shaped the identity of the Roman people, but also helped maintain the empire's vast and varied territories under one religious and cultural umbrella: decline and legacy. As the Roman Empire transitioned into the Christian era, the decline of Roman mythology began in earnest. The rise of Christianity, with its monotheistic belief system, gradually overshadowed the polytheistic traditions that had once defined Roman religious life. The official adoption of Christianity as the state religion under Emperor Constantine in the early 4th century marked a pivotal turning point. Pagan practices, including the worship of Roman gods, began to be suppressed, and the temples that had once been the heart of Roman religious life were abandoned or repurposed. The rise of Christianity. How Roman mythology declined with the rise of Christianity. Christianity's rise was not instantaneous, but its spread accelerated rapidly across the empire, especially after Emperor Constantine's Edict of Milan in 313 CE, which granted religious tolerance to Christians. With this newfound freedom, Christianity began to gain significant influence, and eventually it became the official religion of the Roman Empire by the end of the 4th century. As Christianity flourished, Roman mythology lost its central place in the lives of the people. Christianity's rejection of polytheism directly clashed with the foundational beliefs of Roman mythology. The old gods were seen as false idols, and their worship was increasingly deemed sinful. Temples to Roman gods were closed, and festivals celebrating the gods were gradually replaced with Christian observances. As the empire embraced Christianity, the influence of Roman mythology waned, and with it, the practice of venerating a vast pantheon of gods and goddesses. The decline of Roman mythology was further hastened by the collapse of the Western Roman Empire in the 5th century. As the empire fell into disarray, many of the old traditions were abandoned, and the pagan practices that had sustained Roman religious life faded into obscurity. Pagan priests and philosophers were displaced by Christian clergy, and the philosophical schools that had once debated the nature of the gods were replaced by theological discussions centered around Christian doctrine. Enduring legacy: Roman mythology's influence on Western art, literature, and popular culture. Though Roman mythology faded from everyday religious practice, its influence did not disappear entirely. Instead, it transformed and integrated into Western culture, leaving an indelible mark on art, literature, and popular culture. The mythological stories of gods, heroes, and epic quests became a foundation for Western creativity, shaping the works of writers, poets, artists, and musicians for centuries to come. In literature, Roman mythology continued to thrive in the works of poets like Virgil, whose Aeneid remained a central text in the education of scholars throughout the medieval period. The classical myths of Rome, intertwined with Greek mythology, formed the basis for much of Western storytelling. Shakespeare, Dante, and countless other writers drew inspiration from Roman myths, with characters like Venus, Mars, and Jupiter appearing in their works as symbols of love, war, and power. The legacy of Roman mythology also endures in the world of art. The Renaissance saw a revival of interest in classical antiquity, and artists such as Michelangelo, Raphael, and Botticelli brought mythological figures back to life in their paintings and sculptures. These artists found inspiration in the gods and heroes of Roman mythology, incorporating them into works that celebrated humanism and the beauty of the classical world. Statues of gods, such as Apollo, Venus, and Juno, became iconic representations of human ideals, inspiring awe and admiration across generations. Roman mythology has also influenced modern popular culture. From movies like Clash of the Titans and Gladiator to video games like Assassin's Creed and God of War, the gods and heroes of ancient Rome continue to captivate audiences. The names and stories of mythological figures are embedded in our daily lives. Mars is the name of a planet, and Venus the name of a popular brand. Mythological symbolism appears in architecture, advertisements, and even the names of businesses and products. In essence, while Roman mythology may no longer be practiced in the traditional sense, its legacy lives on in the fabric of Western culture. The stories, ideals, and figures that once embodied the beliefs of an ancient empire continue to shape our understanding of humanity, destiny, and the divine. Roman mythology may have faded from the temples of Rome, but its influence continues to echo through the centuries, proving that myths are never truly lost. They are simply transformed. Roman mythology is more than just a collection of ancient tales. It's a timeless reminder of humanity's quest to understand the world, the divine, and ourselves. From the epic journeys of Aeneas to the commanding presence of Jupiter, these stories have shaped cultures, inspired art, and fueled imaginations for millennia. If you've made it this far, thank you for joining us on this incredible journey through Roman mythology. Your support means the world to us. Please like, subscribe, and share with others who are fascinated by the myths and legends of the past. Together, let's keep these timeless stories alive. Until next time, stay curious and keep exploring.